unfortunately, is going to grow. Whether it's in our community here in Lowell, whether it's in our Butters community, it's going to grow, and there's going to be a need. It's a sad state.
The need is growing. You're absolutely right about that.
It's a sad state of affairs. So I just wanted to kind of get my hands around that piece of the client. Someone mentioned, I'm not sure if it was Attorney Elides or yourself, that it's a non-mandated program.
Correct. It's all voluntary. I said that. Correct.
And how are people introduced into your particular program?
What do you mean by introduced? Referred?
Yeah, how do they come up?
Probably 98% is self-referred. So people come, they call up, they say they're interested in treatment, they're given a set of appointments to be assessed and evaluated by nursing staff, by counseling staff, by the doctor, by the physician's assistant. They're given a full physical. There's a whole process to get admitted, and Dr. Pasterson has the last word on admitting or not. But in terms of how they get there, 98% is self-referred.
So there's no correctional or probation or court mandates at all? Zero. None
The
of
entire system.
Your entire system?
My entire system.
Not the entire system, but your
My
entire
system.
That's right. Not the entire system.
Right.
Your facility.
There are nobody that's mandated. That's right.
I was looking through some of the documents as it relates to, and I'm sure this happens, and I don't know how else to phrase it, but what happens to the clients that don't succeed? How do we follow those? I don't want to call them anything other than a relapse, perhaps might be the more appropriate word. What happens to the client that comes for 20, 30, 10 days? What happens to that client if he no longer comes to your facility? Say Johnny Sullivan comes to your facility for 15 days. He no longer comes. Is there a follow-up? How do we track that?
Yes, the policy and procedures, we try to reach those people to re-engage them to come back.
Okay.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes we say to them, you can come back when you're ready. Obviously, you're making a choice right now, but we're still here. You come back when you're ready to come back. But there's always a follow-up to reach out to those folks.
I would just add that there are patients.
Sure.
Yeah, in my original remarks, I think I made mention that we have a successful program. Success is not 100% in this business or anything else, unfortunately, in healthcare. We heard a very emotional presentation by a lady who had some family members. And I don't know of that circumstance. I don't have any specific recollection or knowledge this evening. Patients have been discharged from our program for non-compliance and non-participation. We do random testing. Everyone thinks it's urine, but we don't do urine anymore. We do testing of saliva. We do that on a random basis. If a patient's identified as using opioids when they're on the program, of course, that's totally unacceptable. And that patient will have to go through further evaluation with their counseling staff, and ultimately they may see me. And in fact, frequently they'll have their dose increased if that's the need, the fact that they're still in withdrawal. Someone mentioned that the appropriate dose of methadone was 20 to 40 milligrams, speaking on behalf of the medical community. Well, I can tell you, the average dose of methadone in Massachusetts in treatment programs, and there's 15,000 patients, is about 100 milligrams. 100 milligrams. Our numbers are a little lower than that in Lowell, because I've been in the business a long time, and I'm perhaps a little bit more conservative and a little more careful. So that notion. But when patients are doing other drugs, and we have patients with multiple drug addictions, it may be alcohol, it certainly can be cocaine, and it can be benzodiazepines. And benzodiazepines are Valium-like drugs, includes Xanax and Ativan, and America's favorite news tranquilizer, clonazepam. We have a problem with patients who are perhaps not as committed to their recovery as they should be. And we hold people to their responsibility. They have to be responsible. This is an outpatient program that they're coming to voluntarily. And if they don't meet the program standards, it is possible that someone will be discharged. And then they will have to seek further help. They have to seek residential help, or they have to go to NA. Some of them end up dropping out. And yes, relapse is part of the condition. Part of the disease of addiction is relapse. And we understand that. And a lot of people come to the program, they'll do well, they'll be tapered. Indeed, generally slowly, 5 milligrams a week is probably the fastest I do it. We heard a milligram a day, which is 7 milligrams a week. We do it slowly, we do it carefully, and many people will go months, even years, and they won't use. And then something will happen in their life, some sort of a stress, some sort of an issue. And remember, people use drugs, they use opioids because they like them. They like them because they like the way they make them feel. We use them in medicine to treat pain, and that's appropriate. But there is a euphoric component to almost all opioids. Heroin, morphine, certainly oxycodone, oxymorphone, there's a million of them. And people will resort back to using the drugs again, and it requires patience. And I have seen many, many patients over the years who've had to come back 2 or 3 or 4 times. And we work with those people, we accept them back into the program, but we hold them to the same standards. So it's not a very casual program. This is the most difficult medical treatment program in the world. You can imagine 7 days a week you go to receive your dose of medication in front of a registered nurse, or an experienced registered nurse, who gives you your dose of medication, which is going to stabilize you. That's the word I use. We don't start with wean, we start with stabilizing. Stabilize means you're not sticking a needle in your arm. You're not popping Percocets or Oxys or whatever. And then when you reach some point of stability, psychologically and in terms of work and so forth, we begin the tapering process. And believe me, I wish it was as easy as everyone thinks it should be. But it isn't, and you know if you've been in law enforcement. But you know, our jails are filled with people, and I made reference to before, this is mostly looked at as a moral and legal problem. We put people in jail for 2 years at Billerica House of Correction all the time for repeat offenses with drugs. Costs the Commonwealth $50,000, $35,000, $40,000 a year to keep those people. It does them no good. I don't guarantee anything in our program. It's not 100% effective. But I'll tell you what, it's more effective than most medical treatment programs. And I'll stack us up against diabetes treatment, hypertension treatment, arthritis treatment, or any of the chronic diseases. And remember, opiate dependence, the National Institute of Health said this in 1997, it is a chronic relapsing brain disease. I like to refer to it more as a condition than a disease, because I think you have a responsibility as a patient, and we hold them to that responsibility. But I'll put our program against any other program in the U.S.
Okay. To that point, one more question, Doctor, if you don't mind. Just to that point, as part of the medicine methadone distribution, the taking of the daily dosage,
right.
You talked about counseling. Is there any internal mechanisms for referrals for counseling, or is this just?
Patients all have mandatory counseling.
It's all
either individual or group counseling on a weekly basis. A lot of people are also seeking treatment outside. A lot of people are getting mental health services apart from ours, and they're participating in other programs. We try to coordinate that as best we can.
I'm sorry. Mr. Perrin, I have to admit, time has thrown this entire thing off. I sat down so all these people can be heard. Those 2 ladies in the back there, did we lose? Melinda? Huh? We lost there's a woman in charge of counseling. She has a 12 or 13 staff group who engage in group counseling, this, that, and whatever. Lisa will tell you she has constant appearances at group, and what keeps her life together is the group therapy and the group counseling that they get. I don't know if you want to hear from her, but that's exactly what the case is. This is not just go in and take drugs and whatever. There's a full counseling facility that goes in, program
one of those
that
question
goes in.
answers and placed on the record.
Thank you.
That's Mr. Elias. I do have some more questions that I need to get through if you'd be so kind. I want to talk a little bit about the inventory, about the medication inventory.
Can I bring the woman up who's in charge of it?
Who's ever in charge of it,
Maggie's in charge.
knows the direct answers.
If you walk into the facility at Hall Street, blew my mind when I saw it. Mm-hmm. There is a separate room where the nurses give out the facility, the medicine, and in that room is a locked door closet, but beyond that, when you open it, is a full floor-to-ceiling safe, like you'll find in most banks, that where it's where it's held. But maybe Maggie, who's the chief nurse, you can please.
Hello?
Name
Okay.
and
Hello.
address.
I have some very
Okay.
specific questions. and
Maggie Jenowitz, nurse manager,
Okay,
Habit
thank
Opco
you.
Lowell.
We're talking about roughly, I'm going to stay with 500, okay? I'm going to stay with the 500 number. I'm not going to float numbers for conversation purposes. What's our inventory lead out?
Usually when we're dosing, we're going through about 7 liters a day of methadone, okay? 10 milligrams equal 1 milliliter. And I'm ordering an inventory of 128 bottles like every 2.5 to 3 weeks. And I have to do an audit every month for the DEA because the DEA just pops in. So I have to account for everything, especially being a liquid. So when we do have bottle changes, like with any liquid, you might have a little bit left over. We have 2 nurses, just like in a hospital. You have to have that witnessed, and it is measured manually. It's poured into the next bottle, so it's like consecutively each bottle, and it is accounted for.
So to that point, which is my next question.
Yeah.
There's no medical disposal. There's no waste.
No, the only waste there is say, we offer a take-home program where people who meet a certain criteria, they can get on take-homes, and if, say, they were in the hospital dispenses methadone, they would bring the take-home bottle back. It would be, according to DEA guidelines, discarded in kitty litter. That's the appropriate protocol.
That was one of my key questions. Was one of the pieces of information I couldn't find anywhere if there was excess medication or how the disposal of it. So I do appreciate that.
No problem.
The internal audit process is conducted by yourself in conjunction with the DEA, in conjunction with the
Correct.
state, in conjunction with the city, and all the requirements. So I understand.
I do
that.
monthly audits, and all nurses are held accountable. An example would be if you gave a client, like it was said earlier, like a Dixie cup, and say the client's hand was shaking, they spilt it, they're not to touch it, we have to wipe it up and clean it. We have to fill out per policy an incident report why we're redosing that person. Okay, so everything is accounted for, yeah.
I appreciate
Okay.
your
No problem, no
information,
problem.
and
Yeah, I've
I was looking
been with
forward
Habit
to
Opco 19 years, going on 20 years, and
thought
very
it was a-
proud to be an employee of Habit Opco.
I think it's important to understand the process and
Yeah.
the whole inventory and how it is controlled, and without having stories being told regardless. I do have some questions for Attorney Elias. Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem.
Thanks, Maggie. Hi.
I want to talk a little bit about the security staff. In reference, I've heard and I've read, we have security staff, 2 to 3 on staff, 7 days a week.
I think Tom can answer
Okay.
that better than I.
Okay, yeah, I have a few questions about security.
Yes, the answer's, that's correct.
Okay, can we talk a little bit about what type of training they receive?
All security staff are trained by the head person at that particular location. So if we hire new security staff in Lowell, for example, there is the day-to-day manager, office manager, who does the training for that. There's a standard protocol of training for everybody that comes into the system.
Is it a private security firm?
No, these are employees.
They're employees of yours. So do they receive any formal security training from any security firms or?
No, what we do, we do a nonviolent crisis intervention training.
Okay.
You must be aware of that.
Yeah.
And that's for all the staff, that's not just security staff.
Okay, do you do
Everybody.
crisis intervention training? Any
Yes.
crisis intervention training?
Yes.
Effective communication skills, things of that nature?
Right, de-escalation.
Okay.
all of it.
Do they carry any, they're not certified, security officers, and they're not public safety officers.
Correct.
So they don't carry radios or security equipment or anything of that nature?
They do not.
They do not. So their immediate response is to use their communication skills to deter and deflect, and then wait for
Correct.
local law enforcement?
That's right.
Okay. 'Cause I just wanted to clarify that, because it was kind of getting to me that it seemed like they were being parking lot attendants, and
I think
I
there is
understand
that
there's a
in
need
addition
for-
to it. I'm glad none of them are here. There is that in addition to
It's an
it.
additional duty.
Right.
I
Yes.
just want to clarify that we don't have valet
It's much more
parkers.
than that. That's right. It's not a parking attendant, if that's your point, and I agree with
Yeah,
you. That's right.
I mean, everyone kept on saying they're out there parking cars,
right.
and
That's right.
that's to me, it's a very big concern for me.
Right.
That they would have some type of formal training with de-escalation, crisis intervention, effective communication, things of that nature,
Correct.
that they would have to,
Yeah.
they would have to understand that. So, I want to talk a little bit about CARF,
About,
about your accreditation
oh, the
process.
accreditation body, sure.
I did review your package, both your packages that you submitted. And I understand their audit process and how they accredit. I just want to, what is the, I did look up online, and I looked at your package here. I noticed that their offices are not that close.
CARF?
Yeah.
I think that they're not. They're not local. It's a national organization, just like the Joint Commission is a national
They're like an
organization.
accreditation society. So do they come in annually, biannually? What's?
No, they come in and, well, it depends on how you're accredited. So, but the best outcome of an accreditation survey, whether it's a hospital or us, is a 3-year accreditation. So they come in every 3 years. Now, if there was an issue, that could be less, could be a year, could be 6 months. So if there's an issue, we've never had a problem. It's always been 3 years. So you know 3 years out that they are scheduled to come again, but you don't know exactly when.
Just as it relates to CARF, is that, are they the industry leader in accreditation for methadone clinics?
Are they what? I'm
Are they
sorry.
the industry leader, or are there other accreditation?
Well, you
She's
can
out
go,
there?
but yeah, there are 3 bodies that are essentially approved by the federal government to do accreditation. The Joint Commission,
Okay.
which generally does like hospitals and facilities like that. CARF, and there's a council on something that nobody really uses. It's usually CARF, a Joint Commission.
Okay. So there's no on-site staff member? They just come in annually or biannually? Who requests them to come in? Is that, I'm just- my reference to
It's not a
accreditations,
request.
it's
It's a mandate.
it's yearly.
Just like it is in a hospital. Nobody requests it, but it's a requirement to be licensed. It's a requirement to be a Medicaid or a Medicare provider. So the federal government's license for us, for example, is keyed to the accreditation. So we get accredited for 3 years, the license is for 3 years, and then we go, so when that expires, it's time for the accreditation. Accreditation comes in, they send a report to the feds, and then we get a license accordingly.
Okay, I just want to go back to my earlier point of why I was questioning the mandate or the voluntary pieces, because when I was going through their little catalog, they made reference to the criminal justice mandate. So I just wanted to,
No, it's something that when we all first started, and most of us have been doing this for a lot of years, when we first started, there was no accreditation of these programs. It was really something that just ran. And then the feds decided they were going to do this, and we welcomed it. We were part of the initial experiment in this state, because really it does is it legitimizes the service as a legitimate healthcare provider.
Right.
So just like hospitals now, we have people come in, and the book is like this thick of standards that we need to meet or exceed, and they come in and they inspect everything, so on a regular basis.
and to that point, what is the process and length and time for an accreditation when they come in?
When two full days,
2 full days?
2 full days, 2 people,
Okay, and that accreditation is valid for
3 years.
3 years? Okay, all right, I did write that down. Okay. Okay, I don't have any questions at this time, Mr. Chairman. We can move on. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. So I guess, Mr. Leidy, it's my turn.
Sure.
So the first thing I'm going to start with is, I heard that it took 2.5 years to seek out a new site. Is that correct?
To the best of my knowledge. I was first retained or visited by Tom back in,
So there was a need 2.5 years ago, for whatever reason, to seek a new site for this operation, correct?
absolutely.
So with that said, you, not you, but your client, I guess, started looking at sites throughout the city, 2.5.
I didn't, he
No,
was.
I said your client.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right.
And then came the situation of where it was going to be located, and if I understand all the stories, if they're factual, that the, either the city fathers or the people of the city decided the location, even though it had been located in a downtown area for over 20-something years.
I have the emails to show
Yep,
that.
that's okay. It was decided, now let's find another district that may potentially warrant a special permit to conduct this type of business. Does that sound correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the lease is up this September? Okay. So what happens in September if you don't have another location?
Well, I'm not going to say, I asked that question of Tom only recently, because as time kept going by, I was getting worried, needless to say, when I kept hearing about public health crisis. Can he remain? I don't know how long. He tells me they can remain on a month-to-month basis at 50% more rent.
Yep, okay.
I don't know how long.
No, that's
Not-
fine. That's, I just wanted to ask the question. I
Fine.
just want to make sure I have my facts straight. Because I find it pretty interesting to take 2.5 years and get down to this point, and now we're, you know, a few other things had to happen to move the facility. This next one, I think one of the people that spoke in opposition, and I actually had this as a question, you know, did the petitioner hold any informational meetings with the neighborhood? Now, let me deliberate first a little bit, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
What I had thought about was, and I know you explained a little bit why or why not it didn't happen, but I think in this instance, because it's a special permit, it's going into a location that never had this type of facility before, there may have been at least some communication between the parties, if there was, I'll call it a neighborhood meeting, for instance, that may have alleviated some of the concerns, whether people came from Chelmsford, or they came from the Highlands, or wherever they came from, or most importantly, Stedman Street itself. That was the question I was going to ask tonight anyways. Obviously, it already got answered. You did provide a little bit of an answer. But, you know, it's easy to look back and say what should have happened.
There's more.
But I firmly believe in this case, because this is a special permit, we're not here for a variance, but it is a special permit. I just think in this instance, it may have helped. So,
I don't disagree,
Yep.
but there's more, and I don't want to embarrass Nancy or start getting into that kind of a situation. But the reply I got was she had other things to look into, and when she was in a position to respond to me, and that she would. I never heard anything again. To me, it was made pretty clear.
well, I guess to that point, I don't look at this as we have to rely on a neighborhood association to take action for someone. I would believe you would want to have them included in the communication link, but I wouldn't put this on the Highland Association that, you know, I'm just talking and just asking the question. It was one of my stated questions here. It did get addressed. I just wanted to put it on the record.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but let's not forget, I was required to send a notice to everyone within 300 feet. Across the street, There are, I'm not going to say hundreds, but I know this. We sent out over 180 certified mails to people in the neighborhood. And certainly from what I saw tonight, there wasn't anybody who lacked for notice that didn't know what was going on in this crowd.
I'm not talking about lack
I
of
know
notice.
that, and you're talking about discussing and
Two
going
different
over
things.
it. Where do you start, Mr. Chairman? There are every one of those, 99% of them are businesses. You don't know who the business owner is. It's XYZ Corporation or whatever.
Yep.
I don't think it's fair, if I may say so, just my opinion, not my client's, my opinion, to compel somebody to go out and knock on every single door in the neighborhood in a situation like that, especially when they don't know who it is. If it were a construction company, I don't think, if he was moving his construction company in there, would it have been nice to maybe knock on immediately adjacent places? Certainly Mr. Daly knew right off the bat that what was going on, so he didn't have any difficulty doing it, and I never got a call from him. His lawyer called me once to say, well, maybe you could find another location. That was pleasant. So that's the.
Okay,
And
so
I think we heard about the same thing from everybody else.
Let's move
in
on
this
from
neighborhood.
that. Next one I have is, what's the mitigation plan if for some reason the facility had to close? Natural causes, electricity goes out, road closings. What is the mitigation plan if that facility is shut down for the day or extended period of time?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Mangarotti on that.
We have access in the organization to a mobile dispensary, essentially, and our emergency plan, it's housed in Brockton. So if there's an emergency that a program is not able to be open for whatever reason, God forbid, a fire or something long-term, we have a mobile facility that actually would go and dispense off of the property.
They would show up to the actual property. Now, if they can't get to the property because of
They would
building burns down, the road closes,
They would find something close by and say that's where we are and get the word out.
So the next question will be, what's the communication link? Do you have a phone tree? How are the clients, patients notified when certain actions happen?
Well, if there is a local emergency we contact the television stations and they put something on the news. We have a system where we can remotely program a phone answering machine sort of service, which lets people know this is what's going on, this is where the site's going to be, and this is what you need to do. Unfortunately, we've had to do that twice in the past before.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask that. Has that ever happened to you? I would
Yes,
think it's good
unfortunately.
likelihood after 20-plus years.
It hasn't happened in Lowell, but recently with Hurricane Irene, it happened in one of our facilities up north. We lost that facility for a couple of weeks.
Okay. On the traffic study, Counselor, the infamous traffic study. So the first question I had is, and Eric, if you want to chime in, you can, but what was proposed was, I'll say, clients exiting Old Canal onto Stedman and turning left. I believe on Old Canal, you're going to have supposedly like 2 lanes, right and left, some signage or whatever. But taking a left off of Old Canal onto Stedman, and the same thing with coming up Stedman Street towards Chelmsford and taking that left. Mm-hmm. I travel that road every single day, various times. And if there's going to be increased traffic because of this petition, now that road is heavily traveled anyways. People going to work, especially, and coming home at night. I can't honestly say what's going on at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, but I can talk to those 2 time frames. Can you tell me, I know there was a lot of data prepared and queue times and, I'm less concerned about queue times at Old Canal than I am about traffic.
Sure.
Turning left or turning left as coming off Old Canal. Can you just talk about that?
I'll let Eric chime in on as well, but if you notice the last series of emails that relate to what was going on there, and the last email that came from Mr. Dirk about that issue, he talks about the way we had it planned and configured at that point, that he did not feel that there was any reduction, Eric will use the words better than I, any diminution in the way that intersection, Old Canal and Stedman, would be handled. Am I saying that sort of, not in the right terms of art, but?
Yes, the technical term is level of service, and the level of service is at a D, which is still acceptable. It's a lengthy delay, but it's still acceptable. It's on a report card scale from A to F, A being the best, F the worst. It's at a D, which is acceptable.
Yeah, and I also know there's really no history for that, I'll call it intersection, because, no disrespect to this gentleman has the business on the street, but there really hasn't been much business on Old Canal for an awful long time. So there's probably less likelihood there's going to be an accident there, but if there's going to be an increase in the volume of vehicles, whether they're cars or carpools or vans or whatever, I just wanted to ask that question, because if you start backing it up on Stedman Street, obviously that's going to cause issues too. Let's see. Let's talk about the walkers, the people that aren't taking any vehicle at all, that potentially are going to use public transportation. And whether they may get off at Westford Street, or they may get off over in Chelmsford on Smith Street. I just want to talk about in Lowell first on Westford Street. I think you have to agree there isn't any pavement, I should say sidewalks at all on either side of that street. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I know you also have identified that the percentage of people, if you used the 125 per hour, it was like 4 to 5, I think was the rough number. I have a real concern about people trying to trek from Westford Street coming up to that site. I mean, again, it's heavily traveled. I can't say people obey speed limits all the time there. There's cars constantly in and out because it is a light industrial area. There's many businesses. Wherever the gentleman is, he said he works on Wilbur Street. If I was a person walking up and down that street, I'd feel almost at peril, no matter which side of the road you're on. So I'd like to understand, what could the site or what could the company provide to people? I know there was a discussion about if they're on some type of assistance, getting paid for, this, that, and whatever, but I have a real concern about people walking that street, so if you can address that.
I can. You know what? I haven't even asked him about this, but we've talked somewhat about those particular kinds of things. And Mr. Margaracci has indicated that he would, for example, could find pickup spots if there were people who didn't need, say, for example, I don't know, your example, that, and I'm just thinking from my recollection, I don't want to crowd someone else's property, but at the corner of Stedman and Westford Street, there's a pretty big parking lot. I saw a police cruiser parked there a number of days when I was up there looking at it. So I suppose he could send a vehicle back and forth if he made arrangements with people. In that case, and this is very unusual, he'll tell you that, they don't normally do appointment times, Mr. Chairman, but if it became a safety issue and if they had to be able to help people who were going to be pedestrian attendees, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to find a way to get them the last half mile or whatever it might be. And you could make that a condition. I mean, I can't stop you or me or anybody else from walking up that street, but we can tell our patients under our rules and regulations that they're at risk of being thrown out, I suppose.
Well, maybe you're reading my mind, or maybe you're not, but I wouldn't read my own mind. But I actually had this listed down here too, because for the, I'll say the people that walk, the walkers, and the concern of the neighborhood with people walking in the facility, not driving, but walking, and the perception of what may happen with walkers. I hate to even say it that way, but people that are not in a vehicle, that are walking within the neighborhood, we'll call it a neighborhood,
Yep.
that there's the perception of something may happen. So I actually had down here, can you provide van service for walkers? I continually call them walkers. Or a cab service, or as you just mentioned, maybe there's a service that the client can provide.
I'm sure we
Because
could
I
do-
think it's safety for the people, the clients attending. Maybe it lends a little bit of a safety factor for the people in the neighborhood that might have a concern with certain people they don't know walking the area.
I'm sure we could. I wish you could put a condition on that the city would build a sidewalk on Stedman Street. That would be a great conclusion for
That's been
everybody.
tried before, but we can't tell the city what to do.
I know that. I'm just wishful thinking, Mr. Chairman.
Works the opposite way.
Pardon me?
Nothing. Let's see, what else? There's a lot of information for this petition, so you're going to give me a couple of minutes here. So with respect to that too is our neighbors from Chelmsford and the concern about Smith Street and the parking, public transportation. I know there was no, in the traffic study, and maybe I'll ask you the question. So when a traffic study is conducted, does it only entail within the city of Lowell limits? Do we ever go across city limits and include any other bordering towns?
In my experience, since I've been here, no, we haven't gone beyond the city limits, but Joe has longer experience than I do on that.
Okay,
I would say the same. I haven't seen a study that's crossed beyond city limits.
yeah, well, and I know there were comments and concerns about residents at Chelmsford, specifically with the Smith Street area, with the senior housing that's over there and people being dropped off. Again, I think, you know, if the company could provide some type of service, whatever that is, just to mitigate that situation or potential issue. I mean, obviously, you're almost better off getting dropped off at that stop, at least for yourself walking. At least there's an extended walkway to get you at least over Route 3, but then you're at peril again, A, trying to cross the street, and B, no sidewalk again. Do you want to make a comment?
I do. I want to say that what 7.7 says is for us to talk about those items at peak periods at the facility and its impact on neighboring uses. That's what it says the traffic study is supposed to follow, 7.7.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm just
They went
asking-
beyond that. Yeah,
I'm just
no, I
asking the
understand.
question because it sounds to me like it's only for the city of Lowell. Again, I want everybody to understand that, keep it open, that it's only within the city limits. That's why your client wasn't asked to go into the Chelmsford line
Correct.
and do a study.
Correct, Mr.
I mean, we can go all the way down to Dalton Road, we can go as far as you want. I think there was also a comment by, I think the Board of Selectmen about people using Dalton Road. I can tell you for a fact, I use Dalton Road a lot of times. Let's be honest, if you're driving a lot of times, you try to find a path of least resistance. And because I live in Lowell and I work in Westford, I do kind of go the same way, but I've been known to go different ways to try to get there. But I can honestly say, you're going to run into traffic no matter where you go. And I think there was another gentleman here from from Chelmsford that explained that the traffic's always backed up. Okay, so
Can I
get
tell
off-
a
I'll
secret,
get off that
Mr. Chairman?
soapbox.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
can I tell a secret?
No,
On a number of
No, I don't want any
occasions-
secrets in this chamber.
Okay, well, I'll make it an open secret. I agree with you. People find a way. I did it myself. Instead of trying to get out in the morning onto Chelmsford Street,
Yep.
I turned around and I went back to Westford Street where there's a free, easy turn all the time. And that's what I think generally people will do. They'll find a way.
Yep. Gary had asked about the security personnel there. So is it 2 or is it 3?
There's two, except there's a person in charge of them. And as I think Eric will
Okay.
will attest to it, that person, when it's the morning and they need to keep the cars moving and see what's going on, he's out there all the time, and he barks the orders to the other two. And he keeps them pretty much operating and going,
Okay,
correct?
so when we talk, and these are employees, full-time paid employees of the company, correct?
Correct.
There are no part-timers?
Zero.
There's no
Full-time.
security service? Okay.
Full-time.
Are these people armed at all?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, no.
I'm not saying they have to be.
Yeah, no.
I have to ask a question. I haven't been to a clinic.
Absolutely.
Just asking a question. So, what are their hours that they're
Tom,
at the site?
or Terry here?
No, at 6 to 2.
Okay, so at 2 o'clock, the building, I'll put it this way, the doors are locked and everybody goes home. Is that a fair enough assessment?
Pretty much
There's
the
nobody
case.
left in the building?
Pretty much the case.
Okay, so is there going to be security cameras at the site? Yes. Okay, and what's the purpose of the security cameras?
We install them at every facility, just on the, I should really be saying it, on the
Come
corners
here,
of the
Tom.
building.
Yeah, if you
Every
can.
facility
I'm
has
sorry.
cameras on the corners of the buildings.
And what's the purpose of the cameras?
Just to monitor what's going on, mostly after hours. We never have any issue, but we always put them up anyway.
You said mostly for after hours?
Well, I mean, there are people around during the day, but so when you're not there, the camera runs anyway.
Well, so what about contact, in this case, with the Lowell Police Department? Do you have, panic buttons? Do you have, what's the
Yes.
linkage with the Lowell Police Department?
Yes, there are panic buttons in the dispensary, in the medication area.
Okay.
It's a DEA requirement, by the way.
So again, the people that live in the neighborhood, I guess I'll call it concern was, nobody's there after 2 o'clock. If there's some type of need by somebody to try to get into that facility, the only security, I'll call it, is you have cameras.
And there are multiple alarms,
Okay,
multiple alarms.
okay. So there is no security company driving by?
Nope.
Stopping and
Nope.
monitoring?
Nope,
Okay. Have you had any break-ins ever
Never.
in Lowell?
never anywhere.
Never
Not
anywhere?
Lowell, and never anywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it's-
Again, I'm asking these because of the people
It's fair.
and the
Fair
businesses
question.
reside in the neighborhood. Security measures after closing, let's see. So then Dennis had a question about we were talking about the private school. Or Dennis brought it up about the private school. And I heard something about the law department. Yeah, the Stedman Academy. Now, do you have any, Mr. Leides, do you have any opinion on that regarding,
On which, Mr. Chairman?
okay. So we were given tonight from the Calvary Chapel a Stedman Academy, which was a homeschool cooperative. And we were looking at, I think it was 7.74.
Right. My opinion is it has absolutely nothing to do with 7.4.
Okay, so again, I'm not the lawyer, and I actually talked to Joe about this. You know, if we start getting into legalese, as you know, this board aren't lawyers, but, so when it says within 700, Joe, do we know even what the distance is from the proposed site to the Calvary Chapel?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of this school previously, so.
Right, right. So I guess, Mr. Leides, the only, when it says private elementary school, obviously, we don't have a definition. I don't know if you do, but I don't, of what a private elementary school is.
You know, in a case like that, my experience always is it's incumbent on the challenger to produce that kind of evidence, which is why I said previously they have every right in the world to bring a lawsuit. Very simple. Not that I'm requiring them to do it, but unless they can prove otherwise, they should have to.
Okay. Well, I'll reserve the right to come back with
Okay, fine by
another
me.
question, but I'm going to turn it over to Corey now. Thank you.
We are going to set a record tonight, I think, for my appearance at City Hall.
Well, I wasn't doing anything tonight. I don't know about you.
Yes, we are, Mr. Elias.
As long as I'm in
Shared much of the-
Boston tomorrow for Mrs. Eliades' operation at the hospital in time, that's all that counts. The rest of it, I don't care about.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and it's been a long night here for everybody, and I think we all can agree there's a lot at stake here this evening, okay? We're talking about patients here who are addicted to all kinds of narcotics, both over and under the counter, that could very well end up on the streets of Lowell again if they're not found a location, okay? I'm not saying this is the location, but as I sit here tonight as a board member, I have a civic obligation to these people. All of you have a civic obligation to these people, to find them the treatment they need. I think one thing we can agree on, no matter what side we're on, is that we want these people to find treatment and become productive citizens. Okay, that I think we can all agree on, and it's our job to find them a home. But we have a very sensitive issue here in front of us here this evening, one that no one seems to want nearby. We all share compassion and we understand the need. But what are we going to do with this facility? Again, I'm not reiterating this is the right home. But it's Lowell who, shares the burden, and its residents share the burden of these detoxification facilities, the many group homes we have, the homeless shelters we have, that are all for the most part tax-free in using our services. So I want you all to know that I'm very educated on this issue. And Lowell, when it comes to drug addiction and homelessness, Lowell serves Greater Lowell, Dracut, Chelmsford, Tingsboro. Okay, it's all on our backs. And we have a very important hearing tonight on the backs of this board. Okay, I mean, the town, we have the Chelmsford Board of Selectmen here this evening, and the school committee, and I welcome you with open arms. It's great to see you. And I hear your concerns, and I know they're genuine, and I know you have a compassion and sensitivity towards the issue. But what is, and this I would direct to Borica, Tingsboro, and Dracut town officials as well. What are we doing to address drug addiction and homelessness? Nothing I know of. This is by no means an attack. I know you're outstanding public officials. You've sat here 4+ hours for your residents tonight, and I have a deep respect for that. But not much is being done in this issue in the suburbs, okay? Now, Councilor Eliades, I've seen your statistics that most of these people are from Lowell. Well, I'm very aware of the group homes and the living shelters that we have, and for the most part, Lowell residents are the minority in these. You're saying they're well over 90%. Now, they may share a temporary Lowell address. I don't deny that. I'm not, believe me, I have the utmost respect for you. You've been in front of this board nearly 100 times in my tenure. I'm not saying your intention is to deceive this board. That's not the case. But I find it difficult to believe that all these residents are native Lowellians. I find that hard to believe. We heard the compelling story this evening of that unfortunate woman from Tingsboro who lost a son over this issue. Again, from Tingsboro, Lowell gets the problem. I sympathize with her. I wish her son would have turned her life around. But it's an example that I want to make, and a message I'm trying to send to the suburbs, to all of us, that this is all of our problems, and we all need to work together. And I would like to see all of us, as well as the suburbs, pick it up a notch on this issue. So that's my statement. Thank you very much. Now to reflect on the petition. Now, Council, you're well aware, I'm well aware of the staff of this facility. I took the time, an hour or some odd two, to tour the facility. I've met the staff. I've seen how this operation's run. Okay, it's professionally run. There's no problem, and I'm letting all of you know, and the viewers at home, there's no issue internally with this facility, with the staff. It's professionally run. This methadone, as eerie as I thought it was to see this stacked up in locked up shelters, was accounted for to the drop. So I want the public to know I don't see an issue as far as break-ins of these drugs hitting this. It can happen, as the woman from Tingsboro stated. It's so hard to combat against drug addiction. It's very, very difficult. Some of it may end up on the streets. You know, what can we do? But, so that's my take on the on the facility as it stands. And if that's not enough, I then returned at 5:45 a.m. in the morning to see the treatment, how it's run. Okay, I pulled up 5:45 in the morning to see about 75 to 100 people outside in line. Now, Councilor Leidy's senior at the podium, I'm going to give you a chance to address, I don't know if I want to call it a contradiction, but you're saying there's going to be no lines. I saw a huge line outside the facility. You have this kind of, in the reception area, if you will, you have the square footage for all these people to be inside.
Absolutely,
You do.
absolutely. It's a huge facility.
Okay. Do you have any kind of occupancy number from the building department, or,
I don't
and at this
believe,
point, I know it's probably preemptive, but,
right, I don't believe there's any such limitation
All right, well,
in a
and-
commercial building.
okay, well, in that case, I would have liked to get inside to see that's the case, because I saw a huge line outside.
Sure, we would, by the way, go with a condition that says nobody can line up outside. Solve that problem.
Well, I'm sure you would do, your clients would do their best to abide by it, but what about enforcement? This cannot happen. You know, in this setting, if it does go through, this cannot happen. So, you know, the facility's professionally run. There's certainly a need for it in the city of Lowell. I want to see these people fix themselves, cure themselves, get to work, be productive citizens. That's the goal. Okay? And I think they're achieving that in some sense. And they're not 100% success rate. You can't. There's no such thing anywhere in the nation. So as far as touring the current location, you know, I didn't see a problem. The woman from Tingsboro had a horror story like I've never heard. I'm still floored. We can't rule that out either. We're talking about people rebounding from drug addiction who, you know, we can't rule a situation, a fight, a drug deal going down. We can't rule it out in a setting like this. I'm sorry. I didn't see it that particular morning, but it can't be ruled out. Now, as far as transportation, what I saw, I mean, again, there was a huge line. I was able to pull up about 30 feet from the front door. So I did see vehicles. I saw people waiting in their cars for patients. I saw a small van or two. But for the most part, I see people on foot accessing this facility, Councilor Leidy. So that bears one concern in mind. How are they going to access this facility, being in the rural, almost suburban location it's located in? That is a concern. So again, I want them to have full access to their methadone. So now let's reflect on the new location. After spending countless hours where they are located now, I then, in turn, went to the new location. The day of the petition, approximately 30 days ago, went up and down the streets, went around the building. And what I saw was, you know, a more residential area than is being proposed here this evening, with several businesses, and the neighbors have genuine concern this evening, and I understand it. But, you know, I don't know if this location suits the patients well. Okay, here are my findings on the new location. I see, and many of them are in agreement with my colleagues. I see safety issues as far as, from what I've seen with my own eyes now. I did go there, took the time to go there in the morning. The bulk of the people are on foot. How are they going to access if they're walking up from Stedman or whether it's from Chelmsford? There's no sidewalks on either side. And I'm not about to place the financial burden on the city or on the petitioner to put sidewalks on the street. How are these people going to access the facility? Okay. We also have 17,000 square feet of unused square footage in the facility. I understand the current landlord said, well, sacrifice all the parking for you, but he's almost saying, I'm not going to rent this out. I mean, how is it going to work unless he finds the perfect mix, which the nature of the business is night or so. I have questions as to how that's going to work. Because he's a landlord, as if I was a landlord, I'm going to want to rent that space. So it is a concern. I see this location as too residential-oriented for a facility like this. And again, it overts to safety. No public transportation. Now, I want these people to be able to access their medication. The closest city bus is on Westford Street, and where they're coming from, I don't know. All over. I don't believe this is City of Lowell. I think they're coming from all over. At least they're from all over. So how are they going to access this facility? So, and again, that overts to accessibility, which is all these findings come down to accessibility to the facility for the patients. You know, I understand, I don't deny that many of us in the audience on both sides, whether it's Chelmsford, Lowell, we all share the sentiment and the need and use for this facility, but I'm not gonna lie here, nobody wants it in their backyard. And that's on both sides. So accessibility, I believe, is a big cause here where the patients won't be able to access this facility to their liking. Now, what's surfaced here tonight and was brought up by Dennis is there's a couple schools there I'm unaware of. I don't know the exact details, but I hear Stedman Academy, a private elementary school. I don't know the facts, but they're in front of us here this evening. I don't believe that's the right location. You know, if they're existing, they're there. I don't know. It's come up tonight, but that's just another one of my findings. So, you know, I want to stay. In closing, I just want to say that I hope I conveyed my opinion in a respectful manner to the people, the residents of Lowell, Chelmsford, and to the town officials here in Chelmsford. And this is by no means a shot at the many hardworking professional people in the facility, whether they're working hard in the city of Lowell in the group homes, the many volunteers and workers we have in the group homes and in the homeless facilities. This is by no means a shot at them. But I just don't think this is the right location. I wish I'd be glad it's out of our hands. I don't know which way this is going to go on this board, but I would love to continue with this to find them a home in the city. I'm not saying I don't want it in Lowell, but I'm saying I don't believe this is best for the patients. So I have findings here that gives me reason not to support the special permit. And in the closing statement, in my 10 years on this board, it's the most difficult decision I've ever had to make. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Van.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you to the petitioner for the detailed package and information. I do appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you to all the residents who came out to speak, whether in favor or against this petition. I know it's a hard thing to do, either way. But I did have some questions and some concerns. So tonight, we're here to review a special permit. And under section 7.7, under the special permit 7.7.3, there's quite a few requirements or provisions. And I know you meet requirement A, requirement B, requirement C. The question I have is requirement D and E. Requirement D, it says, provide adequate security measures to ensure that no individual participates will pose a direct threat to the health or safety of other individuals. And E, adequately address issues of traffic demands, parking, especially during peak periods of facility. And to me, I guess my main concern is safety. Not just public safety of people who live around the area, but people who go there, staff there. And my colleagues asked that your security staff, they're trained in crisis intervention or de-escalation, but no physical intervention. So I'm just curious, when clients or patients come into the facility, like if they were under the influence or carrying like a weapon, like do the security officer people check for that stuff, or do they, like how do they, has that been an issue at the facility at all?
I don't think, well, first of all, they certainly aren't armed, as they've already heard. And secondly, I would assume that if they saw somebody with a weapon, they would call the police. By the way, every hospital I go into has security. I don't think I've seen it done on any one of them either. And it seems to me that what they do is call the police.
Yeah.
Sorry. How about this, a little better?
Thank you, Mr. Elias.
Thank you. I'd like to point out for everybody on the board that what E says is adequately address issues of traffic demand, parking, and queuing, especially at peak periods, at the facility. That's the focus.
Okay, thank you. I was also, I had some questions around pretty much letter D under the special permit, which states, provide adequate security measurements to ensure that no individual participants will pose a direct threat to the health or safety of other individuals, whether that's on-site, across the street, or down the road. Like I said, this is a public safety issue, and I'm just curious, would it be possible to get maybe a report from the director or the person who oversees security at the facility? Like just a report in the last year or two of incidents he saw or things happening, whether physical or other altercations?
I would think that the report would be, if it was a bad enough event that required police or outside assistance, then certainly that would have been part of any police report. I want to point out again that there is not a single police report that says that they've had, this is a facility, how many times and how many ways do I say it, that's been in the city for 25 years. I can tell you, if our police department thought that this facility was an issue or a problem, and they had had lots of problems and issues with it, there'd be somebody here. We wouldn't have gotten the report that you got, that the chairman got there. Now, I know that doesn't directly answer your question. I mean, I don't know if they keep those statistics, but on the basis of what I'm hearing, it doesn't seem to be, if there was a fight, I mean, does the school department keep statistics on every in-school fight? I don't know. Do they keep records of that? I don't know. If I knew that the vote tonight was going to turn on whether or not somebody had a report saying how many events there were in the last year, 2 years, 5 years, and that was a significant item, I would certainly say, sure, give me the chance to find it. I think the answer is that because we know that those things don't happen, that they're not there. They don't exist. There are no problems. That's why we have the security people.
Okay.
We don't have a perfect society.
Of course, I agree. And, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, Mr. Elias. I highly respect you. Just some questions that I had. So, and maybe I could ask, through you, Mr. Chairman, if we decide to vote on this, either way, vote tonight or not, part of the condition, maybe I would feel more comfortable if we had like a report from the actual security department, the person who oversees it, just any incidents or daily reports, just to see, because I know when there's, I know in my experience with organizations, when there's any problem or issues, they try to deal with it in-house. So I would appreciate that. And also, I think that, there's a lot of more questions than answers tonight. And I do highly believe that this service, this organization is definitely needed. And, I support it. I do, but like I said, there's just more questions than answer with a lot of different things. So I would suggest or recommend that we delay or not vote on this tonight. It seems a bit just rushed, and we need more dialogue, more answers, more things to be discussed about. So that's just my opinion on it. And I reserve the right to comment later if the need arises to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so Van, you've asked a couple of different things there. Is there specific questions that you're asking of the petitioner that you would like to have addressed in order to, move this to another meeting to make a decision? Do you have specifics you want to direct to the petitioner? I know you mentioned about security, but is there anybody here that's in charge? The person in charge of security is not here this evening, correct?
No.
Yep. Okay.
But I'll let if there's anyone who's going to know about it, it would be Mr. Margarachi, because they report directly to him. So if you'd like to hear from him about it, I'd be glad to have him.
Well, I have no objection to him speaking, but I think Van was asking for some type of report. That was one thing. Was there something else you were asking for?
No, that was pretty much it, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, I personally think we don't have enough information to vote this either up or down. There's still more questions than answers. I think people are not fully aware of the whole situation, and I think it's a little rush. The meeting tonight, I mean, it's been a long meeting, I agree, but we just don't have all the answers to the questions yet. And it's just in my opinion that we delay this vote to a future hearing to get more information and facts. And one of the facts that I would like to see is a report from the director of the security department, or the supervisor who oversees it, just in the last year or two, any altercations, reports, just his general report about everything going on in the facility, in and around the facility. So that's my thought on it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. So do you have anything else you want to add or subtract? Or yeah. Well, I think based on, we've been at this since 6:30, 5 hours. This definitely sets the record for, but I think it also sets the importance of the vote and the reason why people are here. I've listened to the pros and cons. I've listened to the petitioner. I've listened to the board members. I'm not going to say I agree 100% with Van, but I think you can agree, and probably your client can agree, the amount of detailed documents, information that this board had to go through could be the top of the list also of what we had to run through. And we're into, I'll call it uncharted waters also. And that's why I mentioned previously about this is a special permit. And I always look at special permits from a different view than if we're looking at a variance, for instance, like that, or if you're looking at signage. I think the petitioner was asked to do some things from the continuance. The petitioner did come back with the traffic study. I believe the other thing that was needed and had been done was the posting at the site for the public notice. I think you'll agree with that. That was something else that came up, so that's why we needed a continuance. I know if we kind of went through 7.7, we went through 11.3, Kevin made mention that the two almost dovetail one another, but we're here for 7.7. You did, as the representative petitioner, you ran through each of the criteria, I'll call it, for 7.7. You also walked through the 11.3. But at the end of the day, you know, there's still some of the language around 7.7 as it relates to this facility. And I do take note of your comment regarding other types of businesses that could have gone in there without any special permit. And you did list those out. But the narcotic detoxification is definitely it's outlined as in a separate section. So it obviously has a certain importance, or it's a different type of business. Obviously, that business has been around here in Lowell for how many years now? 26 in Lowell. We've never had another one come before us. I don't know if we ever will. But I somewhat agree with what Van said. I know there's other members of the board that feel strongly one way or another. I'm not taking a straw poll on this, but I don't know if I'm really ready to vote on this tonight either. He brings up a good point. I know I kind of asked a lot of questions around security. Again, I have a great sensitivity for that whole site. Whether it's Lowell or Chelmsford, that doesn't matter to me. I know this is the City of Lowell ordinance. It's not the town of Chelmsford. But we have to look at the site in total. So at this point, are there any other board members that have a comment or a suggestion, or what's your pleasure for this evening?
Through Mr. Chairman, if there's an interest in a continuance, I would like to get clarification on the school and an understanding whether the Stedman Academy is classified as a school that meets the criteria in 7.74. Thank you.
Well, and I would agree with that. I know Attorney Elides has his opinion on it, but since you brought it up, and again, if I look at the language when they talk about a private elementary school, I look at the word private, unless, Joe, you have any more definition around, you know, private, and we look to DPD for our support and information through this. I think that's probably a second area that we need to get some more information on, Mr. Elides. Do you have anything else, Dennis? Yeah. Kevin, any comments? Okay. Gary?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. I have enough information to make a decision here this evening, but I do have unanswered concerns at the same time. I mean, I'm prepared to make a decision this evening, but out of respect for my colleagues, if they feel they don't see enough on the table here this evening to make a decision, out of respect, I would continue this. But, you know, I do have, again, concerns about the schools in the area, are a great concern of mine, if they exist, and safety issues as well that we need addressed. You know, I'm not saying it's going to swerve my stance, but they're a grave concern. But again, I'm prepared to make a decision this evening. But thank you.
Thank you. Van, anything else?
I just wanted to add, Mr. Chairman, if the board is entertaining a motion to delay this to gather more information, if the director or the person who oversees security can come in person and we can ask him some questions, that'd be great. But if not, if the board wants to make a decision, vote it one way or the other, I could support that too. You know, it just for me, I think that there's a lot more questions that need to be answered. And, you know, if I had to vote tonight, I don't know if I could support it based on the information.
With all due respect, Mr. Chairman, my client would like a vote tonight. I think the opinions are there, they're pretty clear. There's no reason these people don't want to come back again. I don't want them to have to come into Lowell again. It wouldn't be fair to them.
Well, I mean, coming back into Lowell, I mean, I don't know what that comment's supposed to mean, come back to Lowell. I mean,
No, I meant for another meeting, Mr. Chairman, that's what I
I
meant.
understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
But my client has been 2.5 years, as you so ably pointed out. He feels he can read the tea leaves here, and he has to go forward and start searching again. So he just as soon have the vote now.
Well, I'm going to speak for myself. I think I, again, need more clarification on the schools, private school, for me to make a vote.
I'd love to accommodate you, sir, but
No, you can't accommodate me. That's why I deferred to Joe. He can't accommodate me either.
I know. No, I understand that.
I mean, it's in the language of 7.7.4.
Oh, I understand that, but you know what?
Yep.
If we were in a court of law, or if this were brought before a court of law, the judge would say the burden is on them to prove it, not on me to disprove
Okay,
it.
well, again, this isn't a court of law, so.
Well, I understand that, but, you know, then if it isn't, does that mean that everybody's going to vote for it? I don't think so. Not from what I'm hearing, not
I'm not,
from...
I'm not
tears in
speaking for the
crowd.
board. I'm speaking for myself.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
I'll
through,
defer to you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, through you, again, out of respect for my colleagues, if it's your wish, you are the chairman, I will go along with your wishes. But please, whoever has concerns, please outline them here and now. We have all these people come out twice already, and if they come out a third time, we're all going to expect a decision. So I respect the wishes of my colleagues, but let's outline the issues, concerns here and now, so they're answered for the next hearing. That's all I ask. Thank you very much.
Okay.
This is the only time in I don't know how many years that I've had this kind of treatment by the particular participants in the crowd. And it's unfortunate. I know everybody has strong feelings. I did my best, Mr. Chairman. You know, in the past, you've harnessed me and sat me down, and even when I wanted to do things. But I've never been interrupted and treated this way before. But that's just my own personal thing. I understand. That's the way the ball bounces these days. So my client, to be a good guy, has told me, when is the next meeting? We'll wait for that. As long as it, see, my other concern, Mr. Chairman, is we're getting into the summer months now. Everybody knows we have 6 members instead of 7. We start having people taking vacations and all of that stuff. We've got to find a place. Now, if I told you that there's about to be a healthcare crisis, everybody would say, oh my God, there he goes. He's trying to make us look bad and say there's a healthcare crisis if we don't find a place and whatever. You know, every day that goes by puts all of those people in jeopardy. You don't want to hear me say it? I'm going to say it.
Yep.
Somebody said, you're going to sue and win. You know, all my client did was state the facts, that's all. He said, these are the facts as I know them, and this is what I believe is going to happen. So it's unfortunate. I've never been in this position where I haven't accommodated the board. So I'm going to back up a step and say, I'm in. You want to continue it? Continue it.
Okay, well, that's going to be my recommendation. Now, if the board members don't want to listen to the chair, that's okay with me, you know? But I don't think I'm hearing that.
Yeah, well, I
Okay,
know.
so let's get down to the facts of what we're going to do next. So, Joe, the next meeting is June
June 10th.
10th. Is there an agenda put together yet for that?
There's only one other new business item on there, so it's a pretty light agenda.
Okay,
So it would be in a week and a half on a Monday night, 6:30.
Mr. Leites?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We can live with that.
So, 2 things that I've heard so far. One is Dan has asked for a report
Absolutely,
from the petitioner's security people.
right.
The second is, we're going to get an opinion from the city law department regarding, and I'll be specific with this, private elementary schools. I want a definition. I want to find out how it applies to this petition.
Yeah.
Does any other board members have any other items they want to add?
Yes, to echo Dennis' comments about the supposed preschool, private academies that so allegedly are there. I want a detailed report on that as well, the nearby schools, if they exist.
It's up to the city solicitor. They're the
Okay.
ones who-
Well, I'm just stating my concerns. That wasn't necessarily addressed to you.
So, Mr. Leides, since you were so anxious to, vote tonight, but we're not going to, can we at least run through the conditions so we don't have to run through them
Sure,
at the next meeting?
absolutely.
Okay. Doesn't mean we can't modify them at the next meeting, but, so you're going to provide a stormwater report.
Correct. Now, stormwater will meet her requirements, whatever the stormwater requirement and.
What's that?
Talking about the storm, I'm not gonna do a whole new storm, there is. Sorry. Stormwater, it's a complete site. It doesn't, my estimation, I can let, Mr. Hammer speak to it, it's an operable, complete site now. If, however, we cut in a new and access egress, then, and Mr. McCarthy knows very well, we're gonna have to meet new stormwater requirements. Are we willing to do it? Absolutely.
Again, that's what the city engineer asked for.
Right.
Okay.
Well, no, she asked for them as it currently stands in terms of that, and I'm saying that the facility is a fully complying facility right now. It's got all, at least that's what Mr. Hammer tells me. But if we change the entry and exit, because they'll be changing the terrain and whatever, it'll require that.
Okay. Well, you got the report that I got from the city engineer.
yes,
so
yes,
I'm
yeah.
sure you'll abide
Well,
by
I'll
what
have
she's
Matt talk to
Yep.
the city engineer about that.
Okay, and on the landscaping, you're going to work with DPD.
Absolutely.
To finish that off. There's no signage, is that correct?
No, but if we decide, I mean, when I say no signage, we're not looking for a neon sign or any one of these projects that I go
You'll
through.
be coming back to us anyway.
Yeah,
so.
we'll come back. We have to come back if we can't comply with what the ordinary
All right.
signage is.
Dumpster,
Dumpster,
you're gonna
totally enclosed
follow the dumpster regulations.
Per regulation,
Yep.
right?
Crosswalk, was the petitioner going to provide a crosswalk?
I don't think it was in Jeffrey Dirk's report, but if Eric thinks it would be appropriate, we'll be glad to do that. You're talking about either across the Old Canal, I assume?
Yes.
Right, correct,
Oh.
we can do that. Crosswalk at Old Canal.
Yep. Stop sign, which you said you would put in there anyways.
Absolutely,
Lane markings on Old Canal.
correct.
Yep. The second curb cut.
Second curb cut, yep,
Yep. You're going to angle the parking per
Yes.
the recommendation of the traffic engineer?
Well, let me put it this way.
Yep.
Let's do the second curb cut and let us deal with Eric to make sure everybody's comfortable with it. Is that okay with you? Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
if
so
he-
second curb cut.
If
and
he
then-
says, if Eric says he feels there should be angle parking with the second curb cut where it's decided to be, then we'll do that, that's all. That's
Yes,
fine.
yeah, the angled parking was part of it.
Right.
Okay. Then we're going to add 2 signs in and out, one with the 2
Correct.
openings. All right, that's done. Follow dumpster regulations. No lines. Okay. The next one is, you're guaranteeing that there'll be no lines outside the building at any time for dispensing.
Absolutely.
Part service people, okay, then we talked about the people that are not coming by vehicles.
I think we should put a condition in that for the first 30 or 60 days, we are required to keep a survey of who's coming on foot. We'll do that, that's easy enough. We can double check it. I'd prefer to stay away from a traffic engineer because they're very expensive, but we can have our own people check that and make a report, if working with Eric on that, as to how many, it appears, are would be. I mean, see, what the problem is, we're talking hypotheticals here. We know what happens on Hall Street, and we're transposing it to Old Canal Drive. Right now, it's difficult for us to figure, but we'll take a survey. We did that before, right, Tom? We'll take a survey of our people to find out how many of them believe will be on foot, and whether they're coming from the Chelmsford side or from the Lowell side. That fair enough, Mr. Chairman? Yeah, I
Well,
don't know.
you can take the survey. My concern, and I'll stress it again, was safety for both the person,
Oh, yeah.
the patient walking, and for the,
Right.
for the neighborhood.
Maybe I should go the extra step and say that in addition to that, if it's determined that it should be, for safety purposes, a pickup spot for these people on either end, we'll do that. We can make that a condition.
And, okay. And then next week, or 2 weeks, we'll talk about the security report. Okay. Anybody else have any other conditions, at least at this point? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZBA 2013-12, for a special permit at 22 Old Canal Drive. I make a motion to continue to our June 10th, 2013 meeting.
Have a second?
Second motion?
A roll call?
Mr. Hearn.
Continue.
Mr. Bailey.
Continue to June 10th.
Mr. Belanger.
Continue.
Mr. McCarthy.
Continue.
Mr. Perrin.
Continue to June 10th.
Okay, so we'll continue to June 10th. Joe, as far as public, how will the public know about this?
By basically watching the meeting and hearing it
Okay.
tonight.
Yep.
There's no additional
Yep,
notification.
so there'll be no
requirement.
notification, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we don't have any other matters before us. Anybody have anything they want to discuss? I'm talking to the board. Have a good night, Mr. Leides.
Said enough, Mr. Alides.
So I can make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
There's a second? Night.